Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Splan is a visitor and event management and security solution delivering enterprise-grade, multi-tenant, high-performance, fully integrated, and improved visitor and employee experience for fast-growing companies. We're very excited to have Fortune 1000 customers and implementing our solutions in 60-plus countries.
A little bit about Splan. Splan is a company that is headquartered in Northern California, and we've got extensive experience in physical and cybersecurity, as well as physical and identity and access management. When the company was founded, the founders had really two driving factors. One was security, making our customers and their employees very secure, as well as making visitors secure. We also, from a simplicity and security standpoint, really being able to integrate with other security tools such as RS2, which is, for physical access security, and then also other types of security systems. From a simplicity standpoint, making it simple and easy to license, easy to implement, and also easy to use. One of the things that people say about our software is that our screens are really easy to understand and easy to use. When our customers come to us, they generally have, several different things they're trying to accomplish. One is the value of time of the employees, time of the visitors to get through the entire process of not only inviting somebody, i.e. pre-registering, or also checking in and getting connected with the host that they're there to see. Second is brand image. One thing when I walk into a lobby and I see that people are still using a logbook to sign in, my first question is, wouldn't you prefer to have an electronic system, that's a little bit more modern in your lobby? And most times the people that are sitting there actually would like that. So, what they're trying to do is they want to improve their brand. The third thing is the value of data. Who's on site, who they're visiting, when they were there, things like that. So you can always know who was where, who was there when, and such. And then finally, security for the visitors, security for the employees. We've got great customers. We've got folks like Visa, who are deployed globally in about 70 countries and 100 and some locations. NetApp also rolling out across the world. We've also got our first RS2 customer, Homeward Bound. Thank you, Larry Fox, for bringing that to us. We really appreciate that. And then, smaller customers like the City of Bellevue, single lobby. It goes across different types of industries as well as different sizes of customers, so a very extensible and very scalable solution as well. The solution is a browser-based solution. There are some solutions out there in the market that are just client-server, which is pretty older technology. This software has the latest technology. It is browser-based, so people can access it via their browser, either via the intranet if it's hosted on-premise, or the internet if it is cloud. And we do support both cloud and on-premise implementations and deployments. So when somebody goes out to pre-register or i.e. invite somebody to a meeting, they can do that in a couple of different ways. They can either go through the web portal, in which case we will authenticate through single sign-on or Active Directory. We've also got a really nice Outlook Calendar plugin. Gives you the capability, if you're using Outlook Calendar to set up a meeting, the software can recognize that you're inviting somebody from outside of your domain and ask you, do you want to send a pre-registration email to this person as well? So that makes it just one step to set up the calendar meeting and also send out that pre-registration email. The pre-registration email includes maps, directions, parking instructions, and also a QR code to scan and check in. And of course, that template can be set up by location as well. We've also got a mobile app that you can use to pre-register people as well. In addition to pre-registering folks, you can also have folks that just walk in. Now, the nice thing is with different scenarios, you can actually have different workflows and also even different notifications that go back. For example, if somebody is pre-registered, the notification can be straightforward. Your guest is in the lobby. Or if somebody just walks in, the notification go back to David, for example, and say, David, Pat Bigley has just shown up to you to see you. Now, you're not expecting Pat to be there because I'm just a walk-in. So maybe you're in a meeting, maybe you're tied up on a call, and maybe you don't want to see me. So you have the opportunity in that kind of a notification to either approve or deny the guest. So it gives you a lot of flexibility and puts some of that in your hands. Also, we've got a vendor contractor coordinator portal for pre-registering contractors that are coming in. So a vendor could be somebody like, for example, if you're a hospital, maybe you work with a nursing agency, and that's the vendor. And what they want to do is pre-register nurse contractors who are coming in. And your requirements are to have, some certifications or other documents, in that record of that contractor before the pre-registration is approved, and also before they can check in. So we do that all within the vendor contractor coordinator portal for vendors and contractors. And then also, when they check in, they're checking in as part of that vendor team. Now, when somebody does come and check in, they can check in with a lobby ambassador, or they can check in with a kiosk. And we've got customers with different scenarios. Some have kiosks, some have no kiosks, some have a lobby ambassador. Also, some have no lobby ambassador. So we've got manned and unmanned lobbies as well. But when they do come to check in, if they've been pre-registered, they would have received that email with a QR code. And if they brought that with them, either on their phone or printed out, they can quickly scan that QR code to check in. They could also scan a government or a non-government ID, for example, a driver's license, a passport, or a business card as well. And the information is very, very important to know that the information that you pull in, the customer will pull in from those types of documents, is up to the customer. Splan is GDPR compliant, so we're basically compliant with privacy regulations, which dictate that you can only store or only pull in certain data, and you can only store it for a certain amount of time. And in some cases, you must ask permission to do that. Some cases, you can't do it at all. So again, by lobby, you can set up different privacy type of requirements in your workflow, and then therefore capture certain data. Also, we've got facial recognition for visitor check-in as well as visitor validation. In other words, if you do have a picture of somebody that you captured in the past, that person can either easily quickly check in, or if you want to validate that it is the person, you take a picture of the person checking in, you validate against the picture you have in the past. All of that is available as well. We've also got the capability for NDA and safety video, which can be executed either during the pre-registration process or at check-in. Some people want to do it as part of the pre-registration to really speed up the check-in process, again, saving time for their visitors and employees, etc. But you can also do that as part of the check-in. If they do it during pre-registration, they're not going to see it at check-in. If they haven't and it's required, they will. Also, those types of documents, or any kind of document that they must sign, or certification they might have to renew, or something like that, they can be time dependent. For example, I only have to do this once a year, or every 6 months, or whenever a version changes, things like that. We've also got a visitor risk assessment, which is really important these days. And you can do this again as part of pre-registration or the check-in process. Ask certain questions, for example, maybe travel-related questions, to assess the risk of a visitor coming in. And if they answer them in a certain way, you can recommend that they don't come in, or you can put them on a watch list, things like that, so that everybody is trying to protect their employees these days, especially with the COVID-19. And so that's why the visitor risk assessment is available to customers. We've also got watch lists and VIP lists. Watch lists can be internal or external. Internal is a watch list you set up yourself. Let's say you've had an employee who left the company, and maybe you want them to be escorted, or maybe you don't want them to come into the site at all. You can have different categories, such as things like that as well. So you would put them on an internal watch list. We can also connect with external watch lists. We've got customers, for example, that are schools that want us to, connect with a sex offender watch list, or other people that want us to connect with a Homeland Security type of watch list. Those are external watch lists. And then, of course, you can also put somebody on a VIP list. So if they're coming in, you know that you may want to alert people to give them some special treatment. We've also got the capability for Employee Temp Badge. Now, Employee Temp Badge gives you the capability with our integration with RS2 to basically pull the information for an employee. Let's say an employee comes and forgot their badge. Through the Splan system, you can issue them a temporary badge with all of their same credentials that are on a permanent badge. So in other words, all of those access levels they have on their permanent badge are now deployed to a temporary badge, which is good for the length of their visit. And at the same time, we can deactivate their permanent badge. So they only have one active badge at a time. Other things, of course, that we do with that integration with RS2 include things like turnstile, elevator destination dispatch, access to common areas, contractor access to certain areas that they're allowed to get into, things like that that you can do with the integration with RS2. So we can deploy all these different types of access levels as well. And then notifications I mentioned earlier, straightforward or with that approval, can go back by email, by phone call, by text. Now, in addition to integration with RS2, we can also integrate with Wi-Fi. If you want to grant a username and password specifically for Wi-Fi access, you can do that right through the Splan system. You can set it up ahead of time for the approval. When the person checks in, then they get that Wi-Fi access with username and password. That's beyond just a general. If you just have a general Wi-Fi where you write the password on a whiteboard, you don't need the integration for that. But if it's username and password specific, you do. We can do that through Splan. We've got other integrations as well. So, for example, we've got our own emergency management system, emergency notification system, but some of our customers have Everbridge. So we built a connector to Everbridge. We're also building a connector to Epic for healthcare customers. So we build connectors to other systems that people want. It is a multi-location system. As I mentioned earlier, we've got customers with multiple locations. We also license by location, so that's really important to know. Making licensing easy. So we don't license by workstation. We don't license by kiosk. We don't license by number of employees or visitors. We only license by location. It's also multi-language, as I mentioned earlier. Each location can be set up with its own parameters. You can have some global parameters. You can also have some local parameters. So you can have locations in English, locations in Japanese. We've got about 20 plus languages in the software. And what's nice is if, for example, you go to metadata over in Japan and that lobby is set up in Japanese and you don't speak Japanese, you can walk up to the kiosk, change it to English, and check in. It's also multi-tenant. Now, multi-tenant was originally developed for our customers like Skywalker Properties, Weston, other customers who have buildings or manage properties with many different companies in those buildings. And so each one of those companies has its own partition of the data, has its own visitors, has its own employees, no commingling of the data. We're also finding that, though, to be applicable to other customers. For example, we have a major airline. On their campus, they've got a museum. That museum is being set up as a separate tenant because when I go there, I'm there to see the museum, and that's a separate employees and visitors and everything, even though it's all on the same campus. Other examples are hospitals that have a senior center. That's a separate tenant. So it really goes beyond property management. We've also got a multi-member module, which gives you the capability of, for example, let's say you're a gym and you've got members of the gym, or you're an agency and you've got members, and the members come and check in. They're not visitors, they're not employees, they're not contractors, but they are members. And what you want to do when they go to check in is just validate and verify against your members list. We do that through the multi-member application. We've got workflows and approvals. I mentioned earlier, we've got our own emergency notification and visitor broadcast message capability. So we can notify a security team if something is happening, and you can do that via the lobby ambassador screen or the mobile app. You can also send out a broadcast message to visitors if you want them, for example, to go to a mustering site. We've got a very comprehensive set of reports and dashboards as well as capability. Basically, all of the information, again, go back to the one benefit that people are looking for is the value of the data. Well, we're capturing all the data. Now we need to report and get that data out of the system. And because we're based on a SQL-based database, we've got really comprehensive set of reports, and all the information in those reports can be exported to CSV, PDF, other formats. Reports can be run on demand or scheduled. They can automatically be emailed as well. In addition, we've got package delivery. If a package comes in, you can take a picture of it. So if there's any damage, you take a picture, go right back to the carrier or the vendor. If it's all fine, you can pick from a list to who receives that package, who's supposed to receive that package. When they pick it up or it is received by them in some way, they scan in if they have it, and now that package has been tracked. And then finally, we've got event management. Event management gives you the capability if you want to have an event. Let's say you're having a shareholder meeting, a plant tour, a training class, things like that, that you want to put some parameters around and make it an event. And you can always invite 50, 100, 500 people, but if you want to have an event, then the event management module gives you the capability to pre-register the attendees for the event, broadcast messages around the event, have people check into the event, and afterwards also just have reports based on that specific event itself, who attended and such. So that's a broad overview of the solution. I mentioned earlier that simplicity was also one of the key driving factors of the software. This is a typical screen. It's the Lobby Ambassador dashboard. It's very fully functional, but it's also simple and easy to understand. You've got different time zones. It is a role-based access system, so the person who has access to this lobby can be signed in and have that access. You can change the language of the screen. Here's an emergency notification alert and visitor broadcast message. It's also a dashboard, so I can look out and back on days, and I can see certain information that's been configured and drill down to that information. But it's also an active dashboard, because if I'm not using a kiosk, if I am using a Lobby Ambassador or such, or even a combination, I can check people in, I can check them out, I can print a badge, I can search all visitors. If somebody, for example, comes in and says they're pre-registered and they want to check in, I do a search, I find them, and I click them and I check them in. If I want to add a new visitor, I do that from here. And we're going to see a demo of this in just a minute. Also, we can help source different types of kiosks. This is one of our more popular kiosks. It's a countertop type of kiosk. It has the capability to drop a driver's license in, scan that driver's license, print a badge. You've also got some use cases that require a wall mount type of kiosk. And then finally, we've got these standalone kiosks that are used generally on unmanned lobbies, where somebody wants to come up to a kiosk. This one, will give you a capability to check in, scan a driver's license, print a badge. Same thing with this. This one allows you to scan a passport, print a badge, and this one actually can produce a prox card. And of course, different kiosks. This is Windows only. This can be Windows or iOS. These two are Windows, iOS as well.